3.
I better turn that off. Sorry.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll have a quick look round. The host just left.
Oh, I can take over hosting if you want.
Oh, there we go.
I'll jump in on this, man.
Sweet.
Just go ahead and sit right there. We're going to interview Eliminator.
I think his intro is just going to be like showing everything off. So
He went to go talk to the donuts, really.
Hanney tag.
talk to them.
Donuts. What? You alright, man?
He dropped his
dropped
donut.
his donut.
He dropped
Where
his
did my
donut.
beers go? I had a bottle of booze.
Oh, I see
And
it
now
under
it's
the
gone.
couch.
Well, there's your
Down there.
donut, dude. There's your donut.
There you go. Yeah, it's under
I'll tell you,
there.
these celebrities are so demanding.
Here.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
Where's my beer?
Wouldn't want to miss out on the beer.
Whoa.
He's chugging it.
Confidence
Shit
booster.
thing going on over there.
Yeah.
Too cool.
Wanna put it down.
Absolutely.
No, I can't. It's mine now. All right.
How we doing then, guys? We all ready? You happy, Chris?
Yeah,
Yeah, man,
I have
kick
a
it
bottle
off.
of booze.
Yeah, man. So what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the PSVR Chat Show. This is your show for inside developer information and to spread the love of virtual reality gaming. My name is GT from Gaming Tag VR, and joining us today is developer Christopher Hanney from Illusions.
Hey,
He's here
This
to
is
talk
very-
about... Sorry.
this is very unprofessional. I can't drop my alcohol.
Triangle.
There'll be plenty more, man. There'll be plenty more.
Together.
He's here today to talk about Space Pirate Trainer, which is coming to PSVR on the 27th of November, and his experiences within the gaming industry. On the sofas in front of me today... Oh. So, on the sofa in front of me today, we've got Jimith, Dorky the Awkward, Danish Gaming, or Danish from Danish Gaming VR, Just Incredible from PSVR, God Cannon from PSVR Underground, Shughead from Shughead from Shughead Gaming, and Jason the Eliminator. They are so Dorky and Jimith and Jason. They are the master builders, and Jason is the show's producer. So yeah, Chris. So how are you feeling today? You all good?
Doing fantastic. How you doing?
I'm good, man, and I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. It's really
Pleasure. What more could I want to do on a Saturday night?
That is absolutely true. That is perfect, man. Perfect. So yeah, we'll just kick it off straight away. So, how many people work for Illusions, and how long has the game been in development for?
So, Illusions is a pretty small team. We've been fluctuating from 1 to maybe 8 people at our highest, but generally we're about 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, Illusions started in, I think, 2011 by Dirk Van Welden. That's the lead Illusion guy. He started the company 2011, I think, and released his first game then on iPhone. When did the iPhone come out? Was that 2008?
What, the first one?
Yeah.
Pass.
I've no idea. I didn't
Anyway,
even see the
let's
first
say
one.
that's when he released his first game. That's when Illusion started. He released his first game, whenever that was. Let's say in the glory days. And then he moved on to making a Steam game called Elemental, which came out in 2011. I muted myself. 2011, I think. And then a couple of years later, here we are with Space Pirate Trainer. And so... Yeah, it's been a ride, but generally Space Pirate Trainer has been a team of 3 people. Me, Dirk Van Welden, who's the project lead, and Wim, who does all the art. And then a whole bunch of amazing other extras that have come in to help over the time.
Yeah. Did you have to get extra people for the PSVR version itself, or?
Yeah, we got 2 amazing guys from Glowfish Interactive. 2 Belgian guys came in, Brecht and Emil, who did some amazing work getting the game to run, which I hope you'll all see next Tuesday when it comes out. Because getting a heavy PC game running smoothly on PSVR isn't straightforward. There's quite a lot of hurdles you have to jump over because it is a fairly old piece of hardware. Like the PlayStation came out 5 years ago. And getting it to work on the base unit PS4, not the PS Pro, but the PS4 was took some re-engineering, and
I still find it
Emil did some
amazing.
great job.
that we have VR on PS4. So yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And not just any old VR. This is some of the best VR available.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. That's a win.
Love to hear that. No, just look at what's come out in the last few weeks. Like just the last few weeks. It is outstanding. Like I have a house full of VR crap. And we say crap.
You say crap, man. Say crap all the time. Crap.
I have a house full of VR crap, but the only thing I've been using in the last few weeks has been exclusively PSVR, and that's because it's got the best content right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This year for me has been incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. We've gone from like thinking, I remember buying it, and you know there would be a couple of weeks, 3 weeks where there was no new games, but now there's like 2 or 3 games every week. It's
and not just games, like amazing games. Astrobot is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
And I've like one of my favorite things about this Space Pirate Trainer VR PSVR thing is that we've done a lot of traveling around shows like went to E3 and when was that June Gamescom and Sony has positioned us up next to the booth, like next to Beat Saber and next to Astrobot.
Awesome.
But the stall next to us was quite often Tetris. So during my downtime, like I'd be like showing off, this is Space Pirate Trainer, it's an amazing game, which I'll talk about, I guess, sometimes. Space Pirate Trainer, it's an amazing game. But right next to us was Tetris, and I'd just sit there and just zone out for like half an hour when it was closed, and just beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. And oh my god. So yeah, there's some seriously good stuff on PSVR, and you're now in the middle of the room.
He's staring directly at me. Is it something I said?
Someone reset the host. Reset the host.
Whoa, sorry. Sorry.
Like an out-of-body experience.
I'm so sorry.
Come back on again. 20 seconds.
Yeah, your imagination floated off with you.
No.
Jumping out of your football pads.
He lunged at
What
us.
happened?
Excellent,
Did I dive forward?
That's really awesome.
No, you were floating in the air in the middle. Here it goes.
The Holy Ghost.
I'm so sorry.
He's like he's possessed.
I said Tetris and it got him excited.
Yeah. He turned into a Tetris block.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Yeah, it's
Right.
an amazing game.
Anyways.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, well, I got a question for you. So you mentioned the games that you guys previously worked on. Are there any other projects that you guys did that kind of led to the creation of Space Pirate Trainer?
So this is going back to 2015, I guess. In 2015, Dirk was working pretty hard on his next iOS game, which was mobile game. Because 2015, mobile was the future. It's kind of still is the future, I guess, for a lot of gaming. But we're making a snowboard game on iOS, and then HTC gave us a prototype of the Vive, which is the room scale system from Valve and HTC. And at that moment, every project that we were working on, we just dropped, and Dirk was like, look at this little prototype of this shooting game. He made this platform quite similar to this. This probably took... how long did you work on this, guys? Dorky?
What, this room?
How long did we work on this?
It looks really familiar. It took us like 2 weeks to do in Unity.
Yeah, I'd say about a day, actually.
It's incredible the progress that we've had. Anyway, 3 years ago, this platform took a little bit more time to make. So Dirk made a very similar prototype to this, a simple platform floating on the clouds with a floating ball that you could shoot at. And that was the prototype that Dirk showed me, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I can see my hands. At that moment, we just dropped everything. I dropped a lot of my projects that I was working on, which were just usual, simple stuff. But yeah, I'd say November 2015, everything changed, and we dropped everything, started working on Space Pirate Trainer, and that's where we are today. We've been working more or less full-time on this game ever since. It was released properly October 2017, so it's been out for about a year on PC VR. and we've spent much of the last 6 months making it work on PSVR.
We've heard some great things on the PC side, which is one of the reasons I'm really excited. I mean, I saw the E3. E3 is where I first saw the trailer for it. Was following it like a hawk, and yeah, it looked really good. Heard great things on PC. But now, retro time. What is your favorite gaming console and favorite game of all time?
Big question.
Some big questions.
Well, honestly, I think it comes back to what is your favorite record? Like, what is your favorite band? It's generally the thing that happened when you were, like, adolescent, 14 or 15. And so whatever the console was my favorite was the one that I had most time to play with, and this might age me, but my favorite was Nintendo 64. Without a doubt.
Excellent.
I grew up with that thing because I'm a
Awesome.
child of the early 80s. I grew up, and the 64 was the first console I actually bought with my own money. I had a crappy job at a supermarket at the age of 14, and I saved up all my money, and I got really excited, and I bought my Nintendo 64 and my Mario 64.
Oh man,
And
was
was
obsessed
obsessed with that machine.
Mario 64
So-
for me blew me away. Like,
Yeah, of course. For most people who play it at the time, you play it now, it's not quite as exciting. But back then, it was a mind-bending thing. So I'd say, with my rose-colored glasses, the 64 is my favorite. Favorite
That's a great
game
pick.
though, I think it's Civilizations 2.
Interesting.
I'm obsessed with Civilizations 2. It's either that or the original XCOM. Not the remake that came out like whenever that was. I still play XCOM to this day. I fire up a DOS box and play XCOM, and I love it. I don't particularly love the remake, but I do love the original.
Yeah. XCOM still has
It's
a
a
big
tough game.
following for sure.
Can I
I've
just
never played
interject
an
here
X.
quickly? I know there's a bunch of questions, but I was just curious, Chris, can you just tell us, like, basically give us the elevator pitch for what Space Pirate is? There's just a lot of viewers, I think, that don't,
Yeah,
they're not
right.
completely
So-
aware of what this is.
Right. So Space Pirate Trainer is a first-person shooter in VR. It's designed to make you feel like you're in the game. It's a mashup of arcade gameplay and room-scale movement. So the idea is that we wanted to throw you into VR, throw you into the real space, and get you dancing, get you moving, get you just jumping around, going crazy. This is the stuff that excited us with VR when we first put on our room scale headset with the HTC Vive. We wanted to make a game that made you move, and that's what we're really excited about. The fact that it works on PlayStation VR, I think, is amazing because the system is so much different compared. It doesn't have the laser tracking all around you, but it does work. And so we wanted to make a game that made you use your feet, make you use your arms, and make you dance while you zap.
have
That's
you ever
awesome.
used have you used the calorie burner while you're playing?
Yeah. I've a step counter is fantastic. Like I've done tens of thousands of steps in a day playing Space Pirate Trainer.
I was wondering.
I'm all
That's
about
awesome. my
Like
favorite
there's this a bunch of guys somewhere in California, in Sacramento, I think, called the VR Health Institute that do a lot of tracking based on what sort of physical exertion you do in a VR game. Like and they rank each game based on how much calories are burnt per minute. And I think we are rated at 78, whatever that means, but 78, which means some sort of light workout. Not a heavy workout, but it's a light workout. And the way that I play Space Pirate Trainer, it's probably, I don't know what a workout is. I don't work out. I do running, but Space Pirate Trainer for me is an intense workout. I use my knees a lot. I run around. I go crazy.
Move controllers
and,
stuck to your knees.
Just watching some of, like, we had a worldwide tournament 6 weeks ago, and the winner of the tournament, whose score was phenomenal. Like, I could not imagine keeping up with that score, but he got over 1 million points. Like, it was crazy. And 1 million points in Space Pirate Trainer, my highest, and I've been playing this professionally. It's my job to play this game and make this game. Is 180,000. This guy got 1,500,000, and he's this guy from Newcastle in Australia, and he was just running around like, I couldn't keep up with him watching the YouTube stream. Just watching the video made me feel nauseous.
Yeah.
Because he ran like crazy. And this is just a video of him running around his room. So yeah, one of the great appeals of VR gaming is you do move, you do use your body, and that's something that just doesn't exist in other gaming. Like it's such a physical experience, and that's not to say you have to move. Like you can still play this game sitting down, but we just prefer to move.
Yeah, sweet.
Well, Chris, that leads me into my first question here. Can you tell us like what kind of changes you made to the PSVR version, like that were required to make it work, if any?
Right. Well, other than the graphical upgrades, like we had to more or less overhaul all of the graphics to make it look the same and feel the same on lower end hardware. That was probably the primary change we did early on, but that was probably very small in comparison with the how to make the experience feel the same. So in room scale, in the Vive, where you have complete tracking of like a 2 meter, 6 by 6 foot room or even bigger, with PSVR you're limited by the scope of what the camera can see. So the camera can see on a prism coming out of the TV set, basically, about 8 feet, and it can see about 8 feet deep as well. And so we needed to keep the player in that space, because as soon as you leave that space, you're no longer in the game. You're no longer a part of the experience. You can't use your hands. You can't interact with the world. You're not in the game anymore. So we had to make it obvious to the player, keep your hands inside here and you'll enjoy it. And so we built this, what we call a guardian system, which is similar to what the Oculus Rift does, which is have this prism saying stay within inside this boundary. And by implementing that, it means like, I'll just stand up real quick. Like my hands are no longer tracking.
Right,
yeah.
3 degrees
And
now.
in a game like Space Pirate Trainer, that is super annoying. You don't want that. You want to have complete one-to-one tracking. And so as your hands go up like that in Space Pirate Trainer, you'll see this imaginary wall just slowly appear saying, hey, keep your hands down. And so it's a way of just encouraging the player to stay within the bounds of the tech and enjoy the room scale experience without being frustrated.
It's like a chaperone mode.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we implemented chaperone. It doesn't
grid, isn't it?
impede. Yeah. It's like this little grid that sort of sit back on again. Yeah. So that was probably the biggest thing we worked on, which took us a long time to make feel right. And I think we've got it, but because we didn't want to also remind the player that they're being limited by a single camera. We didn't want that to be a problem. We wanted it just to be enhance the experience for the player. But I'd say that's probably where most of our work went, was making the experience feel normal and make it feel amazing.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, I was just going to ask a quick question as well, sorry. So you were saying earlier on that you got a house full of VR crap. So what HMDs do you own, and what VR tech have you kind of tested? I mean, there's lots of new ones coming out. So
one of my primary jobs within iLusions is to do all the QA. And so to make it compatible, or make sure that it is compatible with new tech that comes out. So we started off with just the Vive. This is the HTC Vive. This is late 2015, launched 2016. Then came the Oculus Rift, and then came all of the Windows mixed reality systems. So there's HTC made one, Dell made one, Lenovo made one, Acer made one. And then we moved on to PlayStation VR. So I don't know how many that is, but maybe 7?
Wow.
8? And that's just systems that we're on. And so I only have this one PlayStation VR, which I never imagined our game would come out on. This was just a thing that I bought because I'm curious. So I have all the ones that I'm curious in too, like the Oculus Go and the Daydream systems.
Daydream.
Yeah, Daydream's great. There's nothing. I personally am only interested in things where I can move my hands in.
Yeah.
But Daydream and Oculus Go are fantastic for other purposes. Like I love watching Netflix in Oculus Go. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about it for that. Yeah, multimedia and stuff.
It's just put the headset on. There's none of this cables. You just sit down, put it on, turn your brain off, and watch something.
It's crazy because at the moment on Black Friday, the Oculus Go is £169,
Yeah, right.
which is nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
really,
it's really
for what
cheap.
you're getting.
Well,
They have a
cheap.
mobile
I'm gonna
headset.
leave now, and I'm gonna go buy that.
It's crazy. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, really? That's mad. Yeah.
And then there's the future of what Oculus are doing, like the Quest,
Quest,
which I'm really excited about. I really think Oculus know what they're doing. I'm really, really, really excited by the future of, like, it's coming out next year sometime.
They're going to push everyone else. Yeah, April, apparently. April.
Yeah, April. We'll see. But next year. Let's say next year.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that product.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so am I, man. Like, when I saw it, I was like, this will only be a good thing for everyone. Yeah, it'll only just keep everything moving. Yeah.
So you
think
mentioned
I'm
like
bundled with some
games
games.
where you like to move your hands. What is your opinion on the aim controller in that sense?
The aim controller. We played around with that. I'm not going to talk with regards to Space Pirate Trainer, but within regards to like Farpoint and Firewall, it's essential. Like I really, really enjoy playing Firewall with the aim controller.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good way of getting good precision. Like you can use your upper body, and it's probably the best way to aim, to physically target something. No question. We talked about incorporating the Space Pirate Trainer, but we just didn't feel it fit. Like we really enjoy the having a shield and a gun, but when you play with an aim controller within Space Pirate Trainer, it just didn't feel like the same game. Because you asked before, like, give an elevator pitch for Space Pirate Trainer. Probably the simplest thing to explain is you have two guns, or a shield and a gun, or two shields. You can choose as you're playing. And so part of the core gameplay mechanic is that you can just put your controller behind your head and pull it forward, and your gun has become a shield. And so you put two shields or two guns. You can swap and you can do crazy stuff. So when we were playing around with the first build of Space Pirate Trainer for PSVR, we implemented the aim controller, but we just felt that it missed some of the core components of why we loved Space Pirate Trainer, so we didn't incorporate the
I mean, we all want analog sticks. We all want analog sticks on these. Yeah. On these bad boys. You know what I mean?
So that is one of the compromises that we had to also incorporate with the design of Space Pirate Trainer. Like the other systems that it's out on have analog sticks, right? So or the Vive, it has that touchpad. The Oculus does have an analog stick, and all the Windows ones have an analog stick as well. And we use those to change the weapon. So you can change between 6 different weapons in Space Pirate Trainer, from a single shot to a laser to a grenade, all sorts of crazy stuff. But you do that with the analog stick. On the PSVR, we've sort of hacked the 4 buttons, the triangle, square, circle buttons, to sort of pretend that it's an analog stick, so you can rotate around with those 4 buttons.
Yeah.
But it is a compromise. These things, I wish they did have a little something else.
I always wonder whether they just didn't make anything else because they didn't know how popular it was going to be. I'm not sure, you know?
Well, yeah, these controllers, they came out in 2006.
Man. They're
Like,
old.
Yeah,
Like,
six or seven.
This is Nintendo Wii competitor. That's what this is. Like, this is from the PlayStation 3, when they were like, oh my god, the Wii waggle stick was coming out. And I have no doubt in my mind that they were considering, like, the Wii at the time had the Wii controller and that little nunchuck controller, they call it, the thing that
that's right.
And so there's probably somewhere in Sony a prototype where they connect that with the USB connector at the bottom of these things. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
That somewhere, and they're like, oh no, we'll ship it when we need it. But yeah, the move button.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the move button could easily be a thumbstick.
Yeah. We had a game recently actually used the navigation controller.
Yeah.
For the actual old moveset.
It's like a nunchuck almost. You plug it in and get the joystick. It's really weird.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that when I saw that. I was like, what? And then everyone was like going in pre-owned shops trying to look for them.
Yeah. $3 on Amazon and stuff.
Yeah.
So, as far as like online features go, when Are there any like leaderboards or anything that the game?
Yeah. That was pretty much the one guarantee with Space Pirate Trainer, because one of the reasons why I personally like playing it is trying to be the best space pirate.
Right.
And so one of the strongest appeals for me personally in a game, this is a 15-minute game. You play it for 15 minutes, you just jump around crazy, and then maybe you play it again and again and again. But it's kind of like one of those old coin-op games where you just play it like Pac-Man. You're playing it for a high score.
Yeah.
And you're playing it to be the best, and so you just keep on going. And so we had a tournament 6 weeks ago where the whole point was to be the best in the world for that 6 weeks, or that period of the tournament. And so we had to incorporate that into PlayStation as well. So there's leaderboards for every different type of gun weapon, so you can have a single shot leaderboard. You can have a grenade, just using the grenades leaderboard, or you can have a mixed leaderboard. One of my favorite ways to play is to use the shield. So there's a thing called the Space Pirate Volt-On, which is when you change your controller over the back, bring it forward as a shield, you can change to a weird long stick shield called a Volt-On that you can use to zap, and it's like a melee weapon, so you can use it to bang into droids or zap them around. You can throw them on the ground, you can use it like a lasso. And so when you have two of those things, it's just fucking bat. Oh, can I swear?
The clap was okay.
Let's just say it's badass. When you've got like these two like crazy big glowing stick things, and you just zapping and cutting into droids, and then you use the trigger button to aim at them, and you can just blam them on the ground like boom, 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 boom. It's super badass. It's one of the favorite ways to play it, and so that has its own leaderboard just using those two things, and so those are all online now. And one of my favorite things about pre-release is that like very few of us have access to these leaderboards. So right now I am officially number 1 in the world on PSVR, and I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Have you Cannon here? He's about to take your score.
That will all change. That will all change on Tuesday. Like we've had a release on Vive, on Oculus, and on Windows, and I was always number 1 until the second it goes on sale, and then I'm like number 1,000.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to trying out that leaderboard. It's going to be fun to compete against friends and everything. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that definitely keeps us going.
Yeah, I look forward to being number 2 million.
Oh, right, yeah. So, like, I mean, that's what's happening in Beat Saber, though, isn't it? Everyone who's streaming Beat Saber is looking at all their friends' scores. It's fair, that's great.
It's awesome.
Danish, I think you got a question, dude, haven't you?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are you guys working on any current DLC or updates for this at the moment?
So at this point in time, Space Pirate Trainer is feature complete, like we're done, but we're still, there's always possibilities for more. We are still working very hard on new stuff. We just haven't decided what that new stuff is going to be yet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I see.
Was there any weapons or gadgets that stood out that you sort of made as a prototype that you didn't bring over?
Oh, there's plenty of stuff. There's plenty of stuff. Like we spent the core mechanic gameplay of this game was more or less feature complete. Let's say early 2017. And so since then, the three of us have been just putting all of our cool little ideas in a little box and patting it down and just saying, this is our little box. We're going to get to that soon. And we first opened that little box in, when was that? Early this year. So I'd say in January 2018, it was the first time we got this little box. It's sort of been hiding away since early 17. And it's like, okay, here's our box full of cool ideas. What can we take out of it? And we've slowly been starting to unpack that box, and we're not ready to say what we want to take out of it and develop into a new product, but we're excited.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's
awesome.
It sounds awesome.
Because I'm happy the box is there.
Sorry.
What, say again?
I'm happy the box is a thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
the box is real.
There's always room for more.
Ideas.
Always room for more.
The box of Space Pirate.
Yeah, man.
It's a treasure chest.
Conversation. Things just happen. Someone comes out with something and you go, "That's brilliant." Put it in a box.
But the thing is, when you want to have a product, when you want to release something, you can't just keep on throwing stuff into it. You have to limit, you have to keep a boundary around what that product is going to be. Otherwise, it's never a beautiful product. You have to make sure it's just one thing and make sure it's really good. And that was really hard for us to agree. Like, you can say that, it's a nice idea, but if someone says, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if we just had this, this, and that?" And like, yes, it would be great, but that will set us back another 6 months. So to make those decisions,
quality over quantity.
That's what Space Pirate Trainer is at its essence. Like, Dirk, the project lead, was really, really passionate about making this game about really fun gunplay and making the droids that spin around that actually interact with how you shoot at them. So there's a bit of intelligence in there that they don't want to be shot at. Like, there's a lot of games, even like on PSVR, where you shoot at them, but there's no actual, like, they just don't respond. And that's not at all what we wanted. We wanted a game where it was just really simple, 2 guns shooting, but underneath all that was just a whole wealth of intelligence and excitement.
So it actually feels like you are shooting AI bots. That's what it really feels like you are under attack.
And so we've got like a whole bunch of predefined motions where they fly around, like in a Galaga sort of experience, or an old school, like, ooh, they're flying around me. But if you shoot at them, they will stop that and they will start re-coordinating and come at you in a different way. And that's based on how you shoot at them, how you're interacting, if you're using a shield, if you're using 2 guns. All of that stuff is based around a pretty complicated AI algorithm that terrifies me every time I open the CS script. But it's there. And every time I make a complaint to Dirk, like, this did something wrong, it's always my fault. The player, I've never had a moment where it's actually the robot being wrong. It's generally me playing it wrong. It's intense.
Man. Are you worried one day that it's going to be so advanced it's going to, like, talk back to you like Tron?
Oh, no doubt. End of line.
It's going to come at end of line. You'll be like, what? Nice, dude. So how did you find developing Space Pirate Trainer on the PS4 compared to the Pro, and are there any Pro features?
So there's no features. Like, I think that was one of the adamant requests from Sony, is that PS Pro and PS4 are feature complete, like they're the same thing. But you're definitely going to have a much better graphical experience with PS Pro. At home, I only have the PS4. At work, I have the Pro. We have the dev unit thing that has both. And I must say, I do miss the Pro a little bit. I have been looking at the Pros on Black Friday sales, and I am definitely considering one.
So what you're saying is you own a PS4, but you've experienced VR on a Pro, and you would suggest, you would suggest to people that the Pro is worth the upgrade.
It depends what I mean. It comes down to money, right? Like, the reason I could have bought a Pro at any time, but I never used my, except for, outside of like Astrobot and Tetris, and now Space Pirate Trainer, I have never really used my PSVR as much as I have the last few months. Like, I usually use my Vive, my Vive Pro, and my Oculus, like, stuff upstairs. But really, the fidelity difference is amazing on a Pro.
I'll try. It's really hard to describe to people over the stream for a social screen, but I remember me personally, and I don't know what you guys have, but my first PS4 to Pro game to see was Super Hot. And I remember playing Super Hot thinking, damn, like, I wish this was a little bit clearer, a little bit sharper. That was the only thing that I found as a negative. And then I got the Pro, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I was hoping for.
Like, every time, I've been playing Tetris Effect like a crazy person the last few weeks, and every time I just think, I kind of wish this was a Pro, because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game, but
there's a difference.
It could be so much better. And so, I think I'm probably getting a Pro in the next few weeks.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, we're all loving Tetris.
I'd recommend
Justin, actually, claim to fame now, man, isn't you?
Oh, yeah, man. Tetris, hell yeah, man.
He done it. Tell him what you did, dude. Tell him what you did.
Well, I had like a Tetris video that I put out, and I guess it kind of went around, and like IGN and Kotaku and PSU's Push Square, all these people, like, picked it up. And
Eurogamer.
Dude, Eurogamer video just absolutely blew up. Like, dude, like, just a crazy amount of people went and saw it. It was really cool waking up and just seeing that. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was good. It was good to see. I was well chuffed. I was so pleased. I was like,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Tetris is definitely number one, man. That is, like, If you haven't played it, I even have friends
have,
who don't have VR and they're playing Tetris Effect right now, and I just give them a thumbs up.
I must say it was one of the most groundbreaking games of this year for me. Like, it's been a lot of good games.
The room's like, talk about Space Pirate Trainer.
That's just subtle hinting there for you. It's the most amazing game of the year, Space Pirates. Echoes in your mind.
I love it.
In a world full of no space pirates.
So on the questions, Danish, you had one that we sort of overlooked again about a previous game they've worked on.
No, I think Justin asked that, right?
Oh, did it? Was it already gone?
I know you mentioned Element 4L before, and could you tell us a little bit more about that and how it kind of led up to, turning into VR eventually, your mindset to VR?
Right. So Elemental was a game that Dirk started on.
Is that how you say it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Elemental, yeah. Well, Element 4L, it's spelled. Element 4L, which was a game he started working on probably 2011, which was an experiment in platforming without actual literal control. So there's 4 different ways of moving, and you move as an element. So you can move as a rock, and that just rolls. You can move as ice, and that slides. You can move as air, and that's the only one that can go up.
Put that on the Wii.
You played it?
Cool. On the Wii, yeah. Is it on the Wii? Something like it
no,
on
it
the
was
Wii
not,
if it's not.
the Elemental came out on like all of the PCs and Linux and
maybe, I don't know.
Mac.
I think it is.
And it also came out on the Vita.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
there is a
Vita
chance, and it was included once in the PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I think that's why I know what it is, because I still, if you log in on the PlayStation 4 for your Plus, you don't get the Vita games, but if you log in on the website, you get everything. So I always do that,
Yeah.
So it came out on Plus, I think, probably 2016, sometime. But yeah, it was a pretty well-received game, especially on in PC. And that's so my job in that game was purely limited to QA testing a little tiny bit and some script writing. But that was Dirk's passion project. So he was doing it whilst he had a day job and did that at night time. And so where that led to VR was that it got noticed by the guys at Valve who were working on HTC Vive. This is back in 2015. And because of the success of Elemental, they thought that Dirk could make an interesting game with their new prototype hardware, and so that's how VR started with his company. Is they sent this. I don't know if you saw early prototypes of the Vive, but it's crazy. It's like this big giant plastic thing with wires everywhere, and controllers that were actually physically 3D printed. They had 3D printers making the controllers, so they're these fragile little things, and they're just adorable. That was the first VR that we had in the company in 2015, these 3D printed controllers. And they still work, and they're still amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's really cool.
Man.
I feel like I remember seeing your guys' game in 2016 at Vive demos and stuff like that. And people trying it out live. And
It's been a crazy few years, but our game Space Pirate Trainer was one of the first. I think it was a launch title with the Vive back in April 2016, but back then it was still a very core product. It was what they call on Steam early access, which Sony doesn't have, but it was the core basic thing. It was a platform. It was some loose AI droids and shooting them. Okay. And we've been refining ever since.
Right.
Yeah, so when I put your trailer together today, it's like Justin, when you was talking about it, I remember your game a few years back, and it might have been one of the first free moving wave shooters I ever saw.
Yeah, one of the first I remember.
Yeah.
Well, what's really neat is that you guys are coming out basically on the eve of Beat Saber, but the funny thing is a couple of years ago, I think you guys were very much, you were the Beat Saber, and that anytime I heard people talk about PC VR, they were like, you gotta play Space Pirate.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's very cool for us to be getting that.
We're regarded as the grandfathers of in some circles the grandfathers of wave shooters, which we don't like to use that term. It's a term I don't like. But I call our game Gallagher, but in VR. However you define a wave shooter, whatever. But we are from the olden days of VR, 2016. But we've been very passionately working on this product ever since. And like Beat Saber, it didn't come out of nowhere either. Like that's a game that also came out in 2016 or existed in 2016, but they refined it and refined it and refined it so much. Like they didn't release, I don't think, until earlier this year, like February this year. They came out on an early access on Steam, but they'd been spending 2 years working on it up until that point. Behind closed doors, and so the evolution, the amount of craftsmanship that went into Beat Saber was like amazing.
Once again, that shows though. When you explain the game, it sounds simple, but when you see it, it looks incredible. Like
and you feel so cool when you're playing it. It's just the best.
Yeah,
and I don't mean to toot our own little space pirate horn, but I think this is one of the reasons why we get put in the same sort of category.
Fine, sir.
We have two very simple products. Space Pirate Trainer is about core shooting gameplay, just enjoying the act of having two little pistols and pew, 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 pew. We refine that to a T. And Beat Saber is an absolute refined experience of rhythm. And the user experience of how you slice into those beats is just beautiful. And we've tried to do the similar thing with how you zap into a droid. It's keeping it simple, keeping it beautiful, and making you feel like you're there, making you feel like you're actually doing these actions. And I'm super impressed how well the Beat Saber experience exists on PlayStation VR. It translated perfectly. I think the team did an amazing job. They did. And I hope next week when you see Space Pirate Trainer, you'll enjoy our experience too.
Yeah, man, yeah.
I mean, you're saying there about that whole feeling like you're there. Just one moment, just from the trailer, you see one little moment where the kind of like avatar moves his head slightly to dodge a bullet, and that alone, I was just like, that looks sick. That looks amazing.
Yeah, man. Because you used the trailer in the announcement for this thing, right? You used the trailer from Space Pirate Trainer. Yeah. We spent a lot of time trying to work out how to explain what Space Pirate Trainer is or what VR is to someone. And that trailer for us was the best experience we could probably conjure. Was the ability to show someone playing Space Pirate Trainer and how they experience it. Just trying to show, like, how do you stream this? Do you have a virtual camera somewhere, or are you doing it first person?
First person.
First person.
Right. Because first person has a whole bunch of hang-ups. Like, people might get motion sickness from watching you do it, or they don't really, they can't really experience, like, seeing the world through someone's eyes isn't natural. People aren't used to that. Even in filmmaking, people aren't used to just looking down the barrel of someone's eyes.
You're absolutely
It's always from a third person. And so that's one of the reasons why the last few months Beat Saber has been using a thing called mixed reality, which is like a virtual camera like up here, filming down, and there's a physical person there playing doop, 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 zapping and cutting and lots of stuff. And so we experimented with that in Space Pirate Trainer for that video, but we didn't really enjoy seeing someone else in our game because it just sort of lost the aesthetic. Like this background is so kick-ass and badass. To have my face in it is just not fun. Like having the Rec Room characters, it's kind of cool, but to have a big clunky Hanney, So we started working on a way to have a virtual avatar, which is what these things are, like these Rec Room avatars. Keep everyone sort of uniformed and in the atmosphere. Like we're all part of this Rec Room universe because we can't. I can't change this head and I can't really change these hands, but we can change what we wear and that sort of stuff. And so the avatar that we have in Space Pirate Trainer, the trailer, adds to the flavor of the experience. So when you're watching it, you're like, oh yeah, that's Space Pirate. I get it. You're a badass. You're a cool guy with or woman. We don't actually give genders. You're a cool human entity, and you're zapping and so that was a way of sort of explaining what the game is to people that don't necessarily know what VR is.
So I've got some people asking, your game is on every system pretty much in virtual reality now? Must be.
Everything that has 6 degrees of freedom, so anything that has motion controllers.
Yeah, man. Sweet.
So just on Vive, which you can buy from Steam. It's on Oculus, which you can buy from Oculus Store, or on Steam, and it's on Windows Mixed Reality. And on Tuesday, it's available on this thing. PlayStation.
Huge success. I really do. I think it's going to be.
We're super excited.
So,
yeah, man.
any hints on like price range or anything like that?
There'll be a pretty big hint on Tuesday.
Cool.
Good answer to that question.
But leading up to then, I think you'll be excited.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Already
no
am.
worries.
Already am.
Yeah, yeah, we're excited to announce that price, but we're just going to leave it until Tuesday.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Awesome, man. You guys do
Just
that?
keep it a little bit exciting.
No worries, man. You know, you're talking about first person. Someone just put in the chat, Hardcore Henry. Do you remember that film? The first person?
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, I was trying to think of the film, and someone put it in the chat.
That's like one of the only examples, and that's a pretty good example of a first-person film. I don't think there are many other ones. I know that the opening sequence to the Doom film was in first person, but no one remembers that film. But Hardcore Henry is definitely a
Dune?
Doom.
Doom, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There were segments of Doom. Yeah, there were.
a lot of scenes,
segments of Doom.
Yeah.
It's my secret. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. It's brilliant.
Rock
It's
Johnson.
brilliant.
Is that The Rock?
Yeah, it's The Rock,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't tell anybody now. I just told everybody.
The world knows.
So anyway, so Chrissy, with your development, with the PS5 coming soon, what features would you like to see regarding PSVR 2?
Okay, should that product exist, there is one fundamental thing that I want to go away, and it's this thing that's currently attached to my head, which is this cable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Which is where the Quest comes in.
So the Quest, which is the Oculus Quest, which is it's even further, right? The Oculus Quest doesn't have a computer attached to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't. In this spectrum, it doesn't even have a PlayStation attached to it. It just has the headset. So we'll see. Like whatever PlayStation or Sony ends up doing, it could be the Quest direction where they just have a headset, and they diversify into having a PS5 and PlayStation VR. That could happen, and they're not actually attached. Or maybe they'll do what the high-end stuff, like the Vive are currently doing, which is having a little attachment where you can upgrade the system to have a wireless.
That's the thing, though. I mean, how old is that? How old is that adapter now? Was it 6
Not
months?
long. No. Maybe. It came out in the last few months.
But it's very expensive.
Yeah.
I
That
see.
adapter itself is $200, maybe
Yeah.
$300.
I see it going. I think it's going to go that way, though. I think it's going
I
to
think
use
so.
the PlayStation to power it.
You think?
Yeah.
You might know something I don't, but I think that's. I think they're going to need the horsepower.
I'm trying to get something.
My phone is vibrating. Oh, hey.
Oh, excellent.
It's
Jim
probably letting you know Jim
Jim
is
is
here. I sent
online.
him an invite. Yeah, I sent him an invite.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do, but I do know that they're working on something. I assume they're working on something. Because they've been working on this headset. They've re-released a new version of it, like, I don't know how long ago, maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
There's a new, I mean, it's not that different. It's primarily the same thing. But, hey, Jimmy.
It's always perfect timing. Everything.
I love that. I love it.
It's always primarily one thing: space pirates.
I had the Rec Room Inception happen. The Inception, when it basically goes, repeats the same thing, and it repeats the same thing, and then it becomes this massive, crazy sphere, and it's... so I had that happen. That's what I had to say.
No worries. Nice. Danish, I believe you got one?
Yes, I was just going to ask. So obviously, you've come from PC VR and pretty much every other platform available onto PS4 and PSVR. So how was the Q&A process with Sony? How did you find that?
They're our first real QA that we've been through. So with Steam, it was just we uploaded the game and it was ready and it was done. The QA service was me and our team. Primarily Dirk was the first QA guy, then I was the QA guy, and we just bashed out all the bugs ourselves. Oculus was much the same, and Windows, they had it. I mean, Windows was, we had to get through the Xbox Live service, which is kind of similar to the Sony process.
Okay.
But getting through Sony was a lot more work than the previous ones, because they really do focus on a lot of QA, like actual QA. Like one of the tests that we never expected to experience was unplugging the camera 1,000 times.
Wow.
This is something that, like, we've done it a few times. Like, what happens if you pull out the headset?
Yeah.
Put it back in. The game can't crash. It has to come back on again. What happens if you pull out a plugged-in USB controller? The game can't crash. Like, all this stuff you don't really think about when you're making a game. But Sony absolutely do when they're testing it. So, like, one of the tests that we failed at was if you unplug the camera 1,000 times, it will crash. And so that's one of the things that we had to resolve. Apparently someone out there will do that. And I was reading on Twitter just today.
1,000 times.
That's a cheat. That's a catch you
By accident.
Like while the game's on.
Like there was a QA report from remember Little Big Planet, the PlayStation 3 game. I read on Twitter today this amazing analogy, because we were just complaining, this is a bug that we had with Sony movement, but they said, well, you think that's a problem. Well, when we were submitting Little Big Planet, we had 2 weeks to go until to launch. We had this one no-go, like, you can't launch with this bug, and the bug was that it crashed every day for this tester, and they were just working on hard. They couldn't reproduce this bug, and long story short, what ended up happening is that every night someone would come into the testing room in Sony and vacuum. And they'd be vacuuming around, and this tester's PlayStation had a PlayStation Eye plugged into it, because the Little Big Planet supported the PlayStation Eye, and the PlayStation Eye has a camera, microphone in it, and the sound of the vacuum would cause that to clip.
Whoa.
Oh my
because
god!
because the game was playing all night, it would clip, and it would make the some sort of buffer just overrun from too much clipped sound, and that would crash the game. And so no one's ever going to do that in the real world, but it was a incredible story. And so this is some of the stuff that we got out of Sony. Like they have an army of just pretty dedicated testers that we don't have. Like, we're just 3 guys in a cupboard somewhere in Belgium. We're in Belgium, by the way.
That cupboard.
And Sony really made us solve everything. So we're pretty certain that we've got a game that won't crash your PlayStations.
Yeah. So you'd say it's beneficial?
Yeah, definitely. It's been more arduous than we expected, but it's led with a much better product.
So how much time did it add to the game in development, the Q&A stuff?
Well, it's hard to say. Like, it's hard to say. Part of that time was also us making changes and modifications and fixes. But let's just say a little bit.
Yeah.
It's made the game a much better product, and that's what we wanted to ship, was a good product.
So I guess on Steam, the Q&A is you because that's your name on the line, basically. They're saying, if you want to put a game out there, then that's at your risk.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So with Steam, like a lot, like we've never tested unplugging and plugging in the Vive stuff 1,000 times, but I'm sure someone out there's done it.
Imagine being that guy. Imagine being that guy who's got that job, the 1,000 unplugging bloke.
Mate, that's a day. That's a day alone at QA. That's a day.
I'd hate to be the therapist that talks to that person after.
It's just on and off and on.
Try to plug it in again.
Oh man.
I have to make sure it's working.
If there's someone that does it 1,000 times, it just means that there's someone else that should be doing it 1,001 times, I guess.
That's it.
Where do you draw the line?
Right, exactly.
But yeah, the Sony experience has been amazing. Like, we've had some really good support from Sony USA and Sony Europe, because we're a small team. Like, we're not a very big team. We don't have a big marketing department. We don't have a big QA department. I am the QA department. We don't have a very big anything, but we've had some great support from Sony Benelux. That's Belgium, Netherlands, who have been really helpful for us. We've been to a bunch of shows around Netherlands and Belgium showing off the game the last few weeks, and then we were invited to E3, for example. Like they had our little game at E3. It blew our minds. That's how you saw the trailer, because we were at E3. I've been dreaming of E3 since I was a teenager. Wow! And there was this moment. Coming soon is the Job Simulator sequel, Vacation Simulator. And the team from because I was at E3 was so busy, because we were demoing, so we were on the floor. Like, people would come up, and press would come up, and kids would come up, and dads would come up, and mums would come up. We were just constantly here's the game, explaining it, even the elevator pitch, letting them play, and we're just so busy that I didn't really notice what was happening. And one of the team of Vacation Simulator came up to me and said, Chris, stop for a second and look down there. And there's Miyamoto walking past, like Mr. Nintendo, and I'm like,
my god, that's too cool.
And they put their hand around my shoulder and said, Chris, we're at E3, and this is real. I'm like, yes. And it was one of those life moments where at the time I hadn't noticed anything of the previous day, like nothing. It was just like work. I'm like, holy cow! This is a moment.
Holy cow balls.
This is a holy cow balls. This is a moment of my life.
Just saying.
That I never anticipated. Yeah. And so it's been a ride, and thanks to Sony for that to happen. Like, we would never have imagined going to E3.
Yeah.
Or having a game on a PlayStation. This is so cool.
Yeah, it just shows you if you've got the idea. If you guys have the idea and you put enough like positive energy into it, and things can happen, and you've done that.
Yeah, we're really proud of our product, and we hope that it fills up your PlayStation with 1.4 gigabytes of fun.
Nice.
1 million, yeah.
It's so good that Sony are pushing it as well. Like, they're trying to push people like yourselves onto the platform. So, did they contact you, or do you contact them, or do they? I mean, how does it work?
How did that work? I think we contacted them.
Right.
I think.
Convincing.
Well, I know it was something at GDC. It wasn't long ago. So it was like this like one thing happened to another, and we met someone, and now we have a game on the system.
Yeah.
But it was more or less our game had been out on we already had a proof of concept, which was a game was available on the Vive. And that's basically how it works. We are a small team. Like, we don't have an established AAA background. We're very much an indie. And so Sony has been pushing indie a lot in the past, and they've started up again with VR circles as well. So there's a lot of great indie content coming out on PlayStation VR.
Thank God for indie though, because it just brought in new stuff. It needed it. The game industry needed not just the big people to be chucking out number 19, number 20 of that game. We need that new stuff, and it's inspired so much.
And that's one of the reasons why I've loved the VR community the last few years. Is that's where most of the really amazing stuff comes from indie content makers. Like, one of my favorite games is this game on Vive called #Selfie Tennis, which is a really simple game.
That sounds amazing.
You play tennis with yourself. Like, you hit the bat, hit the ball, and then you teleport to the other side of the tennis court and hit the ball, and you teleport. And
that is amazing.
And the idea is to just keep on playing tennis by yourself forever and see how many balls you can hit. And that game, like, it's not made by a AAA studio. It's made by 3 crazy people in Copenhagen, and it's amazing. And that's just an example. Like, there's another game, hot dogs, horseshoes, and
Hand grenades.
Hand grenades, yeah. And it's made by one guy, just one guy. Actually, 2 guys. I think it's 2 guys. But the most amazing stuff is made by small teams because they're cheap and they're lean, and they can afford to do a game in a long haul. And that's what VR is about. It's about discovering stuff, just trying things out, seeing if it works, put it in the game, don't put it in the game. And those experiments are quite costly for the large teams.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I've enjoyed the most about being a part of the PSVR community is that I've never had the experience of being able to, like, buy a game and then go along that journey of, like, updates and patches and it's like, oh my god, it's got multiplayer now. Like, that growth is, like, unprecedented outside of the big guys.
Yeah, I never used to care, not because I'm a streamer, never used to care about an update. But on PSVR, when I used to come home before I was a streamer and there'd be an update, I'd be like, oh, put that game back on, see what's happened. Do you know what I mean? And I think we was all streaming when Ultra Wings did that. The developer took everyone on a journey of that game, like, progressing.
Speaking of which,
so one of you guys were talking about in death before we started the interview.
Sure.
In Death is coming out on Tuesday as well, and I want to say that following that game's development, because they launched, I think, an early access on Steam maybe a year ago, and that game is
Holy cowboys! That game.
Holy cowboys!
In VR.
It's a really good game. It's a really good game, and I haven't played it on PSVR before. I honestly didn't know it was possible to play that game on PSVR until I saw it announced like last week. And that's made by a small team of guys and gals in Iceland, and they are amazing people who made an amazing game on PS or PC VR. And the fact that it's coming out next week on PlayStation, that's great. I'm really excited. That's an example of a game that was released on early access, so it was released with updates, and the community got really excited progressively as they launched this product, and for it to now be on PlayStation, this is so cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to play Diff. I still haven't yet. I like to do first impression videos of it's sitting there, but I'm waiting to do it. And they just updated it with smooth locomotion yesterday. So
wait, is it out?
It's not out yet.
No. No.
I think that comes out next week. Maybe.
It comes out on Tuesday. On Tuesday,
yeah.
Yeah. I've got
you guys with your secrets.
All the dates are in a diary. All the release dates are in a diary. But yeah, man. But excellent. So, is everyone happy? Anyone else got anything that's niggling them that they want to ask? We all good?
I mean, not that I'm really interested in the Space Pirate Trainer, of course, but I'm sure people want to know. Do you guys have anything else in development?
Yeah, we're currently working on a bunch of stuff, but we're really, really not prepared to talk about it. So we have the next game, basically.
With coffee and donuts, if that would help you prepare.
Never mind
It's a good stimuli.
Pizza's the win. Pizza for the win.
Yeah,
maybe the root beer and pizza might convince me to go also lit. But yeah, we do have some new stuff, and I imagine maybe early next year we're ready to talk about it, because we're still not sure ourselves what it is. Like Space Pirate Trainer started off as a prototype that we weren't even sure if we were going to make a game. And it turned out being this is our life now for the last 2 years, and so we want to make sure that we are very certain before we push this button, like telling the world what we're doing, that we want to do it the next 2 years. Because
is it coming to PlayStation VR as well?
That was the question.
I just meant, is there a game in development at all on any platform?
Of course, there's a game in development, and as we're talking about the box of secrets, right? The box of things, the ideas.
Pandora's box.
Yeah,
you need to tweet me a picture of the box, man. I want to see the box.
I can't take a photo. It's a virtual box. Like everything we do is virtual reality. So
it doesn't exist anymore once it hits that box.
And so it's a box full of ideas and things that didn't make it into the finished product, whether that be a shooting game or not. Like there's so many things that we started playing with that is in that box.
Yeah.
And I must say, like, there's so much unexplored stuff in virtual reality. Like we've been only as an industry been doing this commercially for 2 years, and we've only just started to scratch the surface on what's possible.
Yeah, same as all of us, man. We're all starting our own channels, we're all doing our own thing because we all believe in the future of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when like games were on cassette tapes. So this is just an absolute like. So like people go, oh, the graphics are so good, like, but not too. Like, no, this is great. This is like fantastic. Like, this is
just
even
imagine how many cassette tapes you need for this.
And the graphics are good. Space Pirates.
Holy cowboys. Space. But yeah, apart from having some coffee and donuts, I'd like to thank you for coming on the PSVR chat show, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Gamer Tag.
No worries.
Awesome. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Hanney.
And thanks to everyone listening in, and thanks to you guys for asking questions. It's been really fun.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for doing this. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Awesome.
Wish you every success,
Can't wait for
man,
Tuesday.
in the future. I think it's going to be awesome.
So Tuesday, we're really excited to unleash Space Pirate Trainer to you all on Tuesday.
Is that in all regions?
Is it a what?
All regions, North America, EU?
It's out everywhere except for Asia. So we've got I think so. It's at North America and Europe.
Cool.
But by Europe, that means like Europe is a weird region. Europe, in Sony terms, is Australia,
it's weird.
Africa, Russia,
New Zealand?
everywhere. New Zealand, Australia. So I'm from
you'll be happy
Australia. So it's out everywhere except for Japan, China, and Southeast Asia.
Cool.
And India, I think. So which is weird. I don't really understand because they call it EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Africa, but that also includes Oceania and some of Asia. So anyway, it's out in a lot of the world on Tuesday, and hopefully in Japan and China and Thailand and Vietnam and Korea, everywhere else. So.
Superb. So there's only one more thing left to
That's a
do,
lot
I
to
believe. Same thing we have to do on every show, God Cannon.
Oh,
What
take
do
the
they-
photo. Take the photo. Say it, Cannon. Say it.
Are we doing it by the side?
He's like, what are we doing?
You always have to remind me, and it's probably a good thing you did that.
He came and walked right up to me and said,
He's waiting for you to say it.
that was intense.
By
I
the
was talking
I gotta
about
stand
Jan.
up.
Well, I'll stand up for this one. I'll stand up for this one.
Jim, if you had to stand up because we're standing up.
I'm standing
down.
up. That's me standing up.
Oh, now I know.
Then I'll go below.
Okay, no worries.
I'm on the table. Oh, that's why. I've got to stand up from the table.
Oh, I've got to stand up as well then. That's
Can
fine.
I do it upside down?
You can do what you want, Justin.
If you want, dude. It looks
If you
like you
will,
and
it
Jimmy are having a
happens.
great party.
Oh, no.
Oh no,
So what's happening, man?
not part of that.
Holy cowballs.
Holy
Holy cowballs.
Oh, I just kicked my coffee
Okay,
over. Sorry.
That's got to be the word of the picture, man. Woo.
Woo.
Ready when you are.
I'm too far. Sorry, I gotta get up here.
That's the most I
too
can hold
far
this pose.
away.
I can hold this pose forever.
You might want to
Forever's 2 minutes.
Blocking you now.
Okay.
I caught myself smiling for the camera.
wanna block
That's
you.
hilarious.
Cheese smile.
Everybody ready? On 1, 2, 3.
Holy cowballs.
Holy cow balls.
Hey.
Hey. Right, guys. Pizza.
Oh, pizza.
Pizza.
There we go.
Minute. I'm trying to put it on the
Jimmy,
put it on the table.
Jimmy,
Put it
you
on
are
the
the
table.
pizza.
It was really nice
There you
meeting
go.
you, man. I look forward to playing Space Pirate Trainer Tuesday, man. I'm so excited.
Heck yeah,
so
dude.
excited.
I am excited to share it to you.
I
It was
I
great.
can't wait
I'm gonna kill
to
the
beat your
stream.
score. No.
Everybody watching, I love you, but it's time to kill it.